Okay. Well, you took my follow-up on that one, so about the pipeline, so that was good.
Gentlemen?
No,
Oh,
good.
okay. New Hampshire has a number of unelected boards and commissions who can circumvent elected officials and voice of the taxpayers. What can or should the legislature do, if anything, to make them accountable or to move their responsibilities to people who are accountable to voters?
Yeah, I mean, so a number of things we should do there. One is we might want to look at allowing for election of those boards and commissions so that people have a chance to weigh in. The other thing the legislature should do is what we started to do, which is to avoid broad-based or broad allocation of authority to boards and commissions. You know, there's been a tendency, certainly in Washington, but also in Concord, just to set themes and allow agencies to regulate their way into what the laws are going to be, and that's, you know, quite frankly, representatives advocating their responsibilities. So, you know, I think we ought to continue that.
And so as far as administrative law goes, we have a lot of administrative law related issues that have been coming up.
Sure.
That falls under the same umbrella, get those people under control.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we really have to do as well is strengthen the Joint Legislative Committee on Administrative Regulations. We call it JELCAR. You've probably heard that. We ought to strengthen JELCAR so that inaction by JELCAR is essentially non-approval of the regulation. In other words, you have to get regulations approved by JELCAR. We ought to make sure that there's strong sunsetting. We ought to make sure the bureaucrats follow the sunsetting. I had come across a situation in my practice. I was dealing with an individual who had was facing a marijuana charge, having grown some on his land, and a real concern was whether he was going to lose his home because they had a few marijuana plants that had been found there. And fortunately, what I found was, and no one had paid attention to this, is that they'd let the administrative rules on forfeitures lapse. Now, they've since reinstated them after we pointed it out, but we pointed out that they had lapsed and that all the forfeitures they'd done for about a 3-year period were illegal. You know, they'd seized them without regulatory authority. And so what that meant to me as I was looking at it is that once again we ought to be searching for ways that prevent them from using regulations that haven't been reviewed as they're supposed to periodically.
Crop TV.